What's up, guys? Welcome out to another show. I am excited to have you guys here with me today. I am bringing on a guest who I had on here 2 years ago as he was getting ready to play for the Idaho Horsemen's professional football team here in the good old city of Nampa. It's our professional indoor football team in Idaho. We talked to him back then about his experience in football. We got to know him as an athlete. Well, now we're going to get to see, we're doing a revisit of his career since then, the ups and downs, what he's learned in indoor football, learning how to play football at the professional level, learning what it's like to go through injuries, what were some of his favorite memories, his teammates, his favorite mentors, what it's all about, and what we can expect from him moving forward, as well as his aspirations in sports media, because he has goals and aspirations to, continue to grow in that field outside of just the sport of football. So we're going to get to talk to our guy here. We're revisiting our conversation and really seeing what's been up with our professional wide receiver, Justin Clarkston. This is the Gametime Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time!
This is the Gametime Guru podcast, where I interview sports figures from all over the world to help deliver a panoramic view on sports. So whether you're a former athlete, one of the crazies, or simply a casual sports fan, this is the perfect show for you as we peel back the curtains and learn from our guests every single week. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and I'm helping you see sports through a different lens. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Gametime Guru podcast. As you guys heard in the introduction, I am doing a little bit of a recap, bringing on a guest that we had on 2 years ago. I believe it was episode 193. Professional football player, wide receiver, has some experience in the indoor football game, the arena football game. And today we're going to hear about what's been going on over the last 2 years, what we can expect from him moving forward as he's making his return to the Idaho Horsemen, who happen to be the local indoor football team here in Idaho. But what he's been doing in the last 2 years in the sport, some of the adversity he's overcome, and yeah, like I said, what we can expect from him moving forward. So before we get started, I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, trying to build up my YouTube channel in 2023. It was one of the things I wish I would have done 6 years ago. I always tell people, what would I have done differently with the podcast 6 years ago than I've done now? Pretty much nothing, besides the fact that I would have built my YouTube platform a little bit stronger. So if you have a second, go click the subscribe button on YouTube. Just help me get the subscriber base up there. I'm trying to get over to 1,000 subscribers. We only got about 316 right now, I think, or 317, something like that. So just help me build that subscriber base up, because we've already taken it into 180 countries on the audio side. Now we got to get the video side popping on YouTube. So just do me a favor if you could do that, and we'll get rocking and rolling here. So just want to welcome back to the show Mr. Justin Clarkston himself. Justin, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, no, thanks for having me back for a second time. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. You were one of my favorite interviews, and then, what was cool is after talking to you and just getting to watch your guys' season that year and kind of seeing how things transpired. I want to take it back to that season, Justin. If you remember, it's been 2 years, but the Horsemen had a pretty good year that year, but there were some struggles at the quarterback position. I think that was like when everything was going right with the team until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so that caused a little bit of riffles there, because I guess the quarterback position, especially you as a wide receiver, it's vital.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that, like how, what happened that season, and, how I guess you were able to adjust to it, because as a wide receiver, I'm sure that's frustrating, because you have somebody who can get you the ball, then all of a sudden there's a little shift in personnel, and the game plan changes a little bit. So how did that first season with the Horsemen go, and talk to us about your experience that year?
That year was a crazy year, but honestly, I wouldn't change it, though. I think the guys on that team, they those are like my real brothers. Like I talk to a handful of those guys every day, really. What a lot of people saw just from the outside perspective was, they're a good team, but they have quarterback issues. They have a different quarterback every week. We don't know what's going on. On the inside, we just tried to figure out. We know we had guys, like we could have gone. We feel like the quarterback position, that problem that we had, wasn't a problem that was going to hurt us. We felt like we still could compete with whoever was at that quarterback position. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether it was Hayden, Chad, Gio, Frank, James Oates, That's 5 I just named,
Yeah,
but we had 10 people take a snap that at some point that season. Hunter took a snap, so that's 6. Jaquan took a snap, 7. AB 8. Who else? Rashad 9. There's definitely one more. I can't think of the last one. Maybe it was 9, but still, like,
a lot of people.
Yeah, and to have gone that far with that many people taking a snap at quarterback, I think that's unheard of. I think that's a testament to how good we were as a team, how good we gelled together, how good we can, see that adversity and face it regardless, and still make the championship, still give Tri-City a run for their money, and still, be together in the end.
Yeah, totally. That season was wild. So it's cool to hear it because we always talk about the brotherhood aspect of sports, and I try to tell the athletes that I coach about that, like good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Like you're going to have those memories that you'll lean back on for the rest of your life. There's a lot of things you can learn from in those, tough moments. That season was crazy though. For those who aren't following me on Instagram, I had the chance, I like to follow the Horsemen, and Coach Chris, he's given me an opportunity to be able to go there and show some, highlights on my Instagram page and so forth and grab some stuff. And I went to the championship game. I drove down to the Tri-City, or drove up to the Tri-Cities. That's where my wife's from. Drove there that night and watched that game. And even though you said all that, like just to do a quick little recap, you guys had that game in the bag. So like people, they think they're going to look at it and be like, oh, they lost championship. No, dude, like you guys were probably about 4 minutes away from sealing the deal on that game, even with all the adversity that you had gone through, beating them in their own home. And so it was kind of like one of those situations where like, yeah, you actually had that game pretty close to being won. And I thought that was a cool season. I thought it would have been an awesome way to go out because the quarterback situation was like the 49ers of this year, but enhanced by like 5.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking snaps and it's just like, what do we do? But you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
Before that season started, when I interviewed you, Justin, we talked about you had college football experience, and now you're getting into the arena game. And we talked about the speed of the game. So talk to me about like what you've learned in the last 2 years, whether it was with the Horsemen or when and we'll talk about that in a second where you went and everything. But the last 2 years of playing in the arena game, just understanding the game, like what has been the biggest thing that you've learned now that you didn't know back then specifically?
This is crazy. This is really like a full circle moment. I learned so much this time that I spent playing arena football, that I learned about myself. I learned about the game in general. I learned that you got to be able to make things happen fast. And I know that's football, but when it's smaller, when the arena's smaller, when it's less people, when it's more focused on the individuals because it's smaller, so it's more to see. You can see what's going on a lot easier than you can on the full field with 11 people. I just think it was just adversity, the hard work that it takes to be a professional, regardless in what sense. It's not the NFL, it's not anything like that, but it's still professional. These are still grown men. These are still people who are trying to go further. These are still people who are trying to take what you have. It's the same game. It's still competition. And I think that's the huge thing, going against guys who are 5, 10, 15 years older than me, who has been in this game for a while. And they know the tricks, how to get by. They know these little things that a guy like me who just started won't really understand, but you just have to pick up along the way. So I think it's just how you can handle the experience and how you can, and as a person, how you can, adjust on the fly and move forward.
Totally, man. Totally. During, season 2, I'll call it season 2. So first season was 2 years ago. You came to the Horsemen. And then the next season, so that was last year, you didn't start with the Horsemen.
No.
Talk to us about what the plan was for last season as you got going so that people kind of know where you went after that first year with the Horsemen.
So after the Horsemen, my first year, my goal was to just and I might have said this on the first time we had talked. My goal was to go as far as I can, as fast as I can. I want to be able to use my platform where I'm at is a stepping stone to get to the highest level, right? After the Horsemen, my first year, I got opportunities from other leagues, other arena teams. I ended up going to the IFL with the San Diego Strike Force. So that was a crazy opportunity because I felt like in my head, this is what I wanted, and I knew I could do it. But in my head, I felt like it's a crazy experience because you don't get guys like me right away who are going to just the highest level of arena football. You know, they always get those guys from the older guys who have played NFL camps, the D1, you know, guys who just something happened and it didn't pan out. They get the first dibs at that, as many things, you know. But so I was in shock and I was in awe that I got the opportunity to get there and to go there. So I was, in my mind, I was like, this is it. Like I'm gonna use this opportunity and show that I belong here and show that I'm still the guy I say I am. You know, I'm still that guy who can make things happen at a higher level, you know? And so I ended up going to the San Diego Strike Force. It was a crazy experience, actually. Mentally, physically, same thing, but physically it's the same. You know, you're not gonna. It's from the Horsemen physically to the San Diego Strike Force. I didn't feel much of a huge jump. You know, obviously, the guys in this league that I played with for the Horsemen my first year, easily those guys could move up. You know, but it's just an opportunity. It's all about the looks you have. Like I said, I talked to Hunter Belzo, you know, Abe all the time, Ralph. And it's just like, we talk all the time and how like, it's just all about opportunity. You know, it's all about how the looks you get. So I think we can all play there if we just got the opportunity. But I'm jumping. So you're
good.
Back to the San Diego experience. So I ended up getting down there to camp. And I was anxious, man. I was just seeing guys. And for me, it's I got to get myself mentally there. I got to know that if I'm mentally in the game, physically, it's all just going to come. You know, obviously I got to stay ready and I got to get ready. But when I'm there, when I'm locked in mentally, nothing's going to take me away. But it's the same way opposite too. If I'm not locked in, I can go down, I can drop, I can keep going lower if I'm not there mentally. If I have any doubt in my mind, that's going to take over for me. So I get there and I'm excited, man. All the guys are cool. It's a huge opportunity. Obviously, being back in my hometown, not San Diego, but being back in Southern California, it was just like, okay, this is a chance for me to be seen, for me to do something. So I get there and we're going through camp. It's honestly, the Horsemen is by far the hardest camp I've ever done.
Really?
And not even just the running wise, like coach, anybody who's played with the Horsemen, they know what I'm saying. Like we're just conditioned. We're conditioned. And that's we always make jokes about that. My first year with the Horsemen, we may lose, but I promise you, we're not gonna be tired. Like you're gonna win and be tired. We're losing, but we're not gassed. We can keep going 2-3 more quarters. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we always felt like we had a chance because we didn't get tired because we couldn't, because we're so tired in practice. The games felt easy, you know. Yeah. And that's I try to keep that going. I try to go hard in practice so the games feel easy, right? So get to San Diego and we're going through practice. We're going through, you know, we have meetings, we have film, we have install, and it just feels like a real, like, okay, like now I'm really at the highest level of arena football, you know, so I'm doing something. It feels good to be able to see the competition wise and be like, okay, I'm here too.
Yeah,
I can hang here. I'm comfortable. I know that I could be successful here. You know, I made my share of plays. I think I definitely made my mark. And it's funny because I've always felt like I'm gonna save that. So first, because I got something good to say right there. So so get through camp. The last couple of days, you know, people are getting cut. You start seeing people leaving. It's like, okay, wow, who's next? You know, the last week of camp, I'm gonna tell this story. So I get a call, right? This is the camp ends on Friday, I think, and I think I got a call on Thursday, or if the camp ended Thursday, I got a call Wednesday, but it was the day before. I get a phone call, and it's from the coach, right? So I answer. I'm like, hello. He's like, Justin, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm just chilling. He's like, can you come up to my room when you get a chance? I was like, oh, so I was like, are you cutting me right now?
Oh,
then
wow. I can imagine the feeling. Okay,
he was like, we'll talk about that when you get here. I was like, okay. So I go to my room. I talk to my guys. I was like, making sure. I was like, all right, y'all, I'm out of here. I appreciate it. It's been fun. I get to the room and the quarterback's in there. And I'm like, dang, you gonna cut me in front of him? And the quarterback was like, man, if you were getting cut, I wouldn't be here. Right. So I was like, okay. So I get there. I sit down. He's like, you looking nervous? I was like, man, of course. You're calling me in your room at 10 p.m. Like, what's going on? So, and he was just saying, like, we want you to be the big receiver. We want you. You're the guy. We want to ride with you. Right. And I was like, whoa, like, I didn't think this was going to go like this at all. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
crazy. That's probably such a relief. I'm just like thinking it in my head. I'm like, you're getting laid off from work almost, and it's like, oh, okay.
I was just like, and he was like, you relax. I was like, man, how can I relax? Like, and at this point, we're watching the game is on in the bag. I can't remember who was playing. I think the Jazz were playing someone. But I'm like, we're chilling. I was like, okay, it just feels like a release,
Yeah.
And to get that acknowledgement was a great feeling for me. So he tells me that, and he's like, just keep doing what you're doing, and we're gonna, we're gonna get something done. Man, so I left that next day of practice. Right, I'm hyped. I'm like, okay, let's just keep doing it. Let's take this to another level. Let's be the guy. So we're doing one-on-ones, right? And he asked me what I want. I was like, man, come on, you know what I want to do. So we ran the jump ball, and I'm going, and I go up, and I remember I caught it. I landed on my ankle, sprained my ankle. But at that point, I'm so hyped. Yeah, that's how you make a catch. That's how you big dog, laying on the ground. That's how you big dog them. Man, where's the quarterback? Man, great throw. Dapping everybody up to, Justin, relax. Man, no, I can't relax. I'm hyped right now. I know I'm hurting, but I don't know to what extent,
Yeah.
So I try to get up, and I'm limping, but I'm like, okay, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And I sit down for a while because I don't finish practice. My ankle swells up.
Oh, yeah.
I can't walk. I'm just like, man, what's going to happen now? That was like the last week or so before camp. So that was a crazy thing. And I'm walking around, I'm trying to rehab. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to force myself to get out there just to show that I can fight through this. Right? I get it taped up and I just can't do it. I'm on crutches, and my coach in college used to say this: your best ability is your availability.
Yeah.
I wasn't available. So, they released me. And that was hard. That was really hard for me mentally, because it's like, I get it, and I get it's a business, and I wasn't able, but it's like, to be able to make it that far and to get that acknowledgement and to just have it gone was super hard. And I always feel like I'm the people's champ a lot,
Yeah.
People telling me, like the coach told me that my friends who I met along the way down there, they're DMing me and was like, oh, they let you go? Like, man, like that's crazy. And it's like, that's why I feel like I get the acknowledgement from people, but I never feel like I get the acknowledgement from, I want to be the champ. I want to be the guy who I want to be able to play. I want to be able to get out there and show it,
Yeah.
But I feel like I never get that opportunity, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I think I learned a lot, just how to deal with adversity, how to deal with injuries, how to deal with fighting back mentally, physically. And I got to a point where it was like, you know what, I'm okay. It was so hard to get there. And I think that's a huge thing that people need to hear. Young athletes today who are just dealing with something. And it's like, if you didn't make it, not because of your ability, because you just physically couldn't. And that's a part of the game.
Totally. It's a hard pill for some people to swallow. so I kind of want to dive into the mindset part of it, because you mentioned something that your college coach said your best ability is your availability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true. It is so true. And sometimes these athletes, they might be on the verge of like making a varsity program, or maybe they made varsity. And I know this because I coach basketball, and these kids, they'll make their varsity team, and maybe they suffer a sprained ankle early in the season. Well, that puts them down in the rotation. Maybe they're out 3 weeks. And so like they're down in the rotation. But what, and this is where I'd like to get your advice some more on the mentality side of things, though, Justin, because you got released. Let's say for these kids that are like, they can't get released in high school necessarily if they're already on the team, but they can get benched. And they gotta work their way back up into the rotation. Mentally, that messes with kids because they know what they're able to do. They know what their athleticism is, but now they've got to find, now when they're healthy, not only are they healthy, but they've got to find a way to fight back into the rotation. So maybe they play 3 games and they're only getting 6-7 minutes a game. And they're trying to show it to their coach. And it's a mental grind, because then they go home and they're like, is this worth it? Is it what I want? These college coaches aren't going to see me. They're going to see me sitting on the bench. This isn't going to be worth it. What do I do here? So it's a mental grind when you go through an injury. I guess from the mentality side of things, knowing what you know now, you went through it. You went through the adversity last season. You had to get yourself right. And obviously you're still playing because you were able to, continue on with a different team last year at the end of the season, and you kind of got some reps in, and now you're playing with the Horsemen this year, and you're still able to play at the professional level. What's the advice you'd give from a mentality standpoint for these young athletes that go through the injury?
I just think, the injury doesn't define you. Coaches, they're going to feel like they're doing what's best for them. It's hard to feel for. Obviously, the coaches feel, if the coaches have a heart, they feel for the person, for the player, but they got to do what's best. They got to keep moving forward. They can't just dwell on you being, oh, he's going to come back. He's going to be okay. He's going to be good. What if you don't? So they have to move on. And it is what it is. It's a business. They got to look out for themselves. So for the athlete, on the other hand, I think you can't take it personal. You got to realize it's a business in the sense, high school, but you know what I mean?
It is.
You got to realize like it's not personal. So you have to do your best to just keep it there, keep it surface, they're not attacking you as a person. It's not anything you did. It's a situation. So I just think for me, I had to keep that in mind. I had to just realize that it's okay. I got to get better, and I got to work, and I got to do what I can for who I can,
Yeah.
And that's why I just always had in the back of my mind, like, okay, I'm getting better. I feel good. This is progress for me. And it's at the end of the day, it's helping the team. Maybe not like it's maybe like for the high schoolers, helping the team. You're getting better. For me and for people who get released, you're helping yourself, and you're going to be able to help someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's all about you got to keep moving forward. You can't look at these experiences and just say that's it if you don't want it to be, Right. If you want to keep going, you definitely can. So it's just all about just trying to just block it all out and have your blinders on and just keep moving forward. The progression is the most important thing. Is you just got to get better, get healthy. When you get healthy, when you get the opportunity to get in, you got to, what I'm saying? You got to make the most of it.
You got to be ready.
That's the point. You got to be ready when your number is called. You could be healthy. You could be healthy. You could miss 3 games. Get healthy. You're perfectly fine. You could not play in the next 5 games. But when that 6th game comes, when you get called on, you can't look like you missed a beat. And I think that's the main thing. I think you got to realize everything. You got to be a professional, even when it's, in high school too. You got to be able to just, when your name is called, you got to go in. In NFL, a backup quarterback is like, they got to be ready. They're not anticipating getting in the game, but when they do, they have to play like the starter.
Oh, totally. You almost prep as a starter every week, whether you see the floor,
exactly,
or the court, or whatever it may be, the field. You got to prep as if you're a starter every single game. It's just such a sports are. I mean, there's a lot of politics in sports, and I think kids just don't have the toughness anymore. But I can promise all the young kids, especially like talking to people like yourself who are at the professional level, if you're good enough, people will see you,
You
if
will
you're
be
on the
seen.
bench. Yeah,
Mhm.
even if you're on the bench, like they will see you. But like, I love what you just said, Justin, and that's like when you're called upon, you better be able to do it. I spoke to a high school coach here that's local in Idaho. His name's Jeff Sainer. He coaches Meridian High School's basketball team.
Mhm.
They just won the state championship 2 years ago and lost in the semis last year. But he told me once, because I was talking to him, I'm like, I'm a shooter, but I can get really, warm in warm-ups and stuff. And then if I'm coming off the bench, though, like it kind of sucks because you get out of rhythm.
Mhm.
And he goes, yeah, but the thing is, like, you better come in hot.
Yeah.
If you're coming off the bench, there's no excuses at that point. He goes, I don't care what kids are getting in rhythm, whatever. Like, you don't get rhythm shots. You got to come in there and ready to shoot. So, and I've always kind of taken that with any sport. You just got to come in there ready to play. So It's cool to hear that from you, man. So here's another question I had, and it kind of branches off of what you were talking about earlier. And you were talking about the professional game. You got to act as a professional. Well, those who listen to the show, I've had yourself, a couple of other professional athletes that played at the indoor game. And, it's not the highest paying job in the world. In fact, a lot of the times in indoor football, the majority of the time, it's not a livable income off of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just the reality. And so sometimes guys are living off their savings or whatever, or they're working part-time while they're playing football. But you still have to act as a professional because it is professional sports.
Yes.
So here's the thing. What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far in this regard? Because to me, professional football, especially at the indoor level, sometimes, Justin, can look like, at least in some organizations, almost like a junior college where, and hear me out, in the sense of the kids are trying to use it as a leaping stone, right? They're trying to use this as an opportunity to get better and get reps and stuff, but using it as a platform to get seen so they could go somewhere else at a higher level.
Yeah.
Junior college is very similar. They try to do this. So it almost seems like some guys have their own agendas. So it's harder to get a team unity because some guys want their own agenda to try to like get to another team.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, how did you best go about continuing to be a professional when you have those additional, like that additional noise? You might have to work a part-time job on the side. You might have to do this. Everyone's trying to get theirs while at the same time trying to win a championship. I guess, how do you block out the noise and still act as a professional?
I think for me, I have a good support system around me. And it's just, and I've always been told, you have to put on what's the word? You have to make it seem like you're always the best, even if best person you can be. It's like the definition of character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doing the right thing when no one's watching, or when you think no one's watching. It's like, and that's always what it is. You always have to, you're a professional in everything, So it's like, if you're not necessarily on the field, you're in the community, you're at your job, you can't be seen as the guy who's slacking. You can't be seen as the guy who's goofing around, who's messing things up,
Totally.
I think that's what, that's the hard thing, about being in arena football, where like you said, it's not livable. But I think for me, the motivation was to, you got to keep moving on. You have to do what you have to do. So that's what's getting me through. Okay, I'm working at this point, but then I gotta keep working come practice. And I gotta be able to turn it on and be able to realize, okay, I'm doing this because I have to. But when I get here, this is where I want to be, and this is what's gonna make me move forward. You get what I'm saying? So it's all about mental. It's all about just putting your focus on the necessary things.
Totally.
And I think it's hard for some people. I think it's hard for a lot of people. I'm not going to name any names, but when I came into the season the second season, the end of last season, it was people who like out of state guys who came here to play, but they're working full time. They're missing practice to work.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to just vacation? That you have a free place to live? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just all about priorities and what you want to do. You come out, you're out of state guy going wherever. There's no way you should let the job that you're working interfere. You know what I'm saying?
I dig it. Yeah.
So,
I
but,
totally get it.
People in its perspective, people look at things differently. People have other needs that they need to fulfill back at home. I'm in state, I'm out of state here, but I live in Texas, so I have to make money to go back there. And why are you not back there working? Why are you wasting your time here?
Totally. Well, and it makes it tough for the teammates too. If you're playing a
exactly
team,
like you're not bought in. It doesn't feel like you're with us.
Yes. Yeah, that makes it tough. And I see that it's not just here, right? That's why I was saying I've talked to professional athletes, even man, I will be honest, even at the USFL and XFL levels, I mean, it's not, they were getting paid a decent amount of money. So it kind of shifts people's mentalities when they are able to make a quote unquote livable wage, because then you can truly just focus on the sport you're supposed to be playing. But I've heard stories similar to this, even.
But it's all about the personal agenda too. It's like, exactly. So say I got a decent part-time job and I'm making enough money. I'm making really good money at this part-time job, right? Or have a lot of savings where I don't need to work. I'm playing here so I can move up, but it's just the agenda. I don't care if we win a championship. I don't care about any of that. I'm getting my film and I'm playing for 6 games and I'm leaving regardless.
Yeah.
That puts everybody else in the hole, you know?
Yes.
And who knows? Like, I don't know. I have a couple of friends on the XFL rosters, but it's like I haven't talked to them. But it's like, so who knows? They're thinking the same thing, you know? Yeah. I'm playing these games here, then I'm going to the NFL.
Totally.
So it's like it's hard to get comfortable with people. It's hard to get, and I think that was one of the best things with the Horsemen my first year. We all bought in. We were all prepared. We weren't expecting anybody to say, okay, we're leaving. Obviously, the quarterback situation, we had to get other guys in here, and that was a revolving door. But everybody else, we knew what we were getting. We weren't, oh, he's gone? Like he left and went to another team. That wasn't happening.
Totally.
You know,
that's hard. And, you know, I talking to coaches and stuff, like Coach Chris, like for the Horsemen, bless their hearts, man. That's not an easy job, because you're a man yourself, or a man or a woman. But like in this case, Coach Chris is a man, and he's sitting here with other grown men, but having to like navigate those waters too, just like you're saying, having to deal with all the different personalities, different agendas, and so forth. It's just a tricky situation. So it's cool to hear the insight of the indoor football game. Yeah. You know, that could be a good show if somebody could give the insights of that as an athlete. You know, I always wondered, like, you know, I always thought it was cool when athletes, now that they can do NIL stuff and get paid off their stuff, they can do podcasts and YouTube channels and stuff. But a couple years back, the UCF kicker, if you guys remember, he was a kicker for UCF. He made a YouTube channel as an athlete. So he was like talking about what it was like to be a D1 athlete. He's a kicker at UCF.
Destroying, right?
What was that?
Destroying.
Was it that? I don't know.
Actually, I think it was him.
It might have been. Well, he got in trouble. He got his scholarship revoked. Yeah, because he was making money off YouTube, and at that point they couldn't do NIL. Like, they didn't have any money coming in. They weren't allowed to have money outside their scholarship. But I remember actually watching some of those, because he actually, even though he shut his YouTube channel down, he the episodes and stuff that he created, the little, you know, vlogs that he created, were still leaked out there.
Yeah,
so you can watch them. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I was saying this. I told these high school athletes. I mean, I would tell you the same thing. I would love to have like a podcast or a YouTube channel, if the coach of that organization allowed it, to talk about the life of an athlete. Like, here's what our practices are like. Like, I got to go to work in the morning. I got to go practice this day. Yeah. I got to get some sleep. Here's our weightlifting together. This is what we're trying to do. This is what it's like to ride in a bus together or a little car together to try to go to these games that are like 7 hours away. Like, I would love to like see the insight of what it's like, you know. Anyway, this is something I was thinking of. But okay, I want to know from your experience so far, Justin, you know, playing in Idaho. Before, when I interviewed you, you hadn't actually gotten here yet. When I met you and stuff in person and stuff and whatnot. But I want to know your thoughts on Idaho, good old Idaho, because I'm born and raised here, but I know for sure, like, there's some better places out there in the world. But I just want to know your thoughts on the good old state of Idaho. You know,
Idaho's a great place, you know. Like I said,
PR. Yeah,
I talk to Hunter, Ralph, and AB every day, and we always say, like, okay, that experience was the best experience, you know. Like, it was the people here. They're welcoming, you know, and it's like, obviously, you know, you get I can't speak of all of Idaho though. That's the thing. I know Meridian, a little piece of Nampa, and Boise. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Treasure Valley. You got the right places.
Yeah, so it's like all I can speak for is that it's been a welcoming place. It's been a good place. It's been comfortable. You know, it's nice. You know, the weather. You know, I'm not too fond of the snow, but you know, other than that, it's a good time. I'm happy to be able to play here and to help build something. Hopefully in the future it just keeps going forward. It keeps getting bigger. I just want it to keep getting the recognition that it deserves, that the Horsemen deserve. That what they're doing for young athletes who are trying to pursue their professional career.
Totally. Yes, sir. I just was always interested in that. And I love Hunter. I love those guys you're talking about too, man. It's been fun covering y'all because I get to know you guys more on a personal level, just kind of being on the sidelines and stuff and just chatting with y'all. And it's always been fun just kind of seeing who you are. Not even in football, just kind of chatting with you about life and stuff. So that's cool. But it's interesting, but I'm glad it's been welcoming. We're trying to get this, popping over here. I think, if you guys haven't come out to a Horseman game and you're listening to this, you need to. It's fun. Come check it out. It's fast-paced football. Sometimes they'll get a good crowd, and sometimes it's a little bit, smaller, but it's always a good atmosphere regardless of how many people are there. So I would encourage people to go. All right. So Justin, the Horsemen came up short last year. And it seems like they've almost given up like that home field dominance in the league. It felt like that, even though you guys are pretty dominant, the organization's been pretty dominant all around. Just a couple of losses last year, one of which was in the playoffs. Almost a monumental comeback, actually, that happened. That was wild. Almost made a comeback in the semifinal game or whatever. But what can we expect from you guys? Because this year in this league, the AWFC, the Tri-City team, the Rush, they folded, which was wild because they had some contractual issues with their arena they were going to play in, all sorts of stuff. They had a really good support system. It's just the business of arena football. That's what happens a lot. But they were the top dogs last year, and they were arguably the top dogs the year before because they beat y'all in the championship, and so they were kind of rising and they were doing pretty good. But now they're gone, and you guys have this inter league like cross that you're going to do a little crossover, playing some other teams from other leagues, which will be really exciting for fans. But what do we expect? What should we as fans expect from you guys, knowing what like the personnel that is coming in, you yourself coming in? What can we expect from the Horsemen this year?
I've talked to AB, and so he obviously wasn't here last season because he had tore his Achilles. And he said, I don't see why I shouldn't win another ring this year. And I said, okay, I'm with you. I think the guys that we have, the leadership that we will have, the personnel, I think it's going to be great. I think we're going to be able to push each other. I think camp's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be, once again, AB, he hasn't played in a long time, so he's feeling a little anxious, So he told me, don't take you my guy. Don't take anything personal during camp. I said, okay, thanks for the heads up. So I'm expecting it to be intense. I'm expecting it to be competitive, and I'm expecting to win. We don't, like you said, the Rush folded, and I think we're all disappointed about that because you want to be able to knock off the top dogs.
Yeah.
And I mean technically now that you can say that's Wenatchee because they did beat us last.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're excited, and I think we expect to win. I'm saying that I never get too worried about the other people though. It's always just like I said, it's mentally. And me personally, if I'm locked in, I know that person across from me can't do much, and I'm expecting that whether we play Wenatchee, Oregon, any of those other teams from the other league, we expect to win.
No, I dig it, man. I'm hoping, but here's the deal: Oregon and Wenatchee, like you said, like those programs, those organizations are solid.
Yeah, they're no slouch. No,
yeah, man.
It's going to be some. These games are going to be. They're going to be intense. They're going to be hard. They're going to be these aren't going to be. Oh, it's a 70-point lead. These aren't going to be those types of games. I can say that. I think these games are going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be intense the entire time, and I think that's what makes it worth it. We don't want to go in there and just know we're going to blow a team out. That's no fun because no one plays it there. When you have that feeling, no one plays it there that they played there.
Yeah,
and it's never going to go any higher because we're already expecting to win. So why should we do more?
Totally. Yeah, this is going to be an exciting season. I think it's going to be slugfest on all those games. It's a fun thing. It's good for fans too. It's just good for the overall sport, and it's good for your guys' development as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Justin, one more question before I get to my last segment, which is going to be the Guru's Gauntlet, where I just rapid fire a few questions at you.
Gotcha.
But this one is more so, I've talked about NIL. I kind of referenced that earlier, and you and I have chatted off record or I should say off air, about your aspirations of sports media and so forth. And nowadays, like I was saying, like NIL is a thing for younger athletes, and they can go into the college game and start building a brand and so forth. And a lot of them go the media route. They want to build through media, whether it's podcasting, YouTube, vlogging, whatever, Instagram, trying to push their own stuff out there and all this stuff. But you had mentioned something yourself about, sports media. And I wanted to kind of hear that and let the listeners know about your goals and aspirations in sports media and what you're kind of looking to do in the future at some point, even, during the playing days. And then whenever the playing days are over in a decade or so, whenever that is, what the plans are. So let us know. Let us know what's going on with the sports media stuff, man.
So media has always been a huge thing for me. It's a huge thing for everybody. Without the media, without the internet, what is anything, Yeah. I got my degree from UC Davis, and I feel like with that, I feel like I can do that. And knowing what I know about sports, being able to play sports, I know the ins and outs. I know the in front of the camera, like playing sports. So I want to learn what it's like behind it, Yeah. And because like I said, I know football's gonna end, and that's a fact. It's gonna be an end for everybody. So I think we have to figure out what's next. And I think that's next. I want to be able to, whether it's broadcast, whether it's podcast, whether it's just interviewing. I just want to be able to stay in the sport because I think that's the most important thing. And I think when you have these people who have played the sport, talking about the sport, I think it's a different aspect, I think because they have a better understanding of what's going on, as opposed to people who just love focusing on the sport and who are really into it. But it's like they don't know what it's like to be in it,
Yes.
So I just want to be able to do that. I want to be able to stay involved in the sports. I want to be able to just be myself and be able to talk, be able to interact with people, and just be able to, connect. And I think that's the huge thing. I think that's something about me that a lot of people don't know, being as quiet as I am, being as to myself. I like to think I'm really good at talking to people, and I'm good at, getting a feel for another person and how their vibe is going, what they're feeling, and being able to move off that and be able to build off that. So
totally. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, man, with the sports media stuff. I think, like you said, more people need to be like you. The players and former coaches and former players should get into that if that's something they want to do, because nothing pissed me off more as an athlete than like a coach who's never played, right?
Yeah.
Like, sprint, you do your down and backs. Like, dude, you shouldn't be tired right now. I'm like, they'll be yelling at you. I'm like, dude, you haven't ever done down and backs and then tried to come over here and do a drill when you can't even catch your breath. Yeah. Shut up. You have no idea. You have no idea what it's like. And then
you have no idea.
You got to hit your free throws. Well, okay, dude, I just got fouled right at I was going full speed, got fouled. I'm still trying to catch my breath.
Yeah. It's so much more going on than the average person can see.
Yes, dude. We need more people who have actually been there to actually be sports. And then you see these talking heads on the major outlets like ESPN and stuff. The best ones, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's not very humble, but I love the shows where you've got former athletes doing podcasts. Yep. Like you got Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes doing All the Smoke. That podcast is phenomenal for basketball fans. They get to talk about some of the stories of the game. And, you've got broadcasters now, even last night, Greg Olsen was doing the Super Bowl. With the time of this recording, last night was the Super Bowl, and Greg Olsen was a former tight end, right? Like very good tight end. And it's just, you start to see more and more of these athletes doing it, and it makes it such a better experience, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to what you do, man. So as we wrap it up, I'm going to do the Guru's Gauntlet. I'm going to kind of rapid fire a few questions at you. And some of them are sports related. I'm just coming up with these as I don't have them scripted. So
let's
do it. I have ideas based on what you were saying. So, okay. Guru's Gauntlet. Question number 1. You've referenced a couple teammates of yours already, like a couple of the guys that you talk to on a daily basis. But so far in your professional football experience, in the last 2 years, who is the best teammate you've had as far as an influence, and why? I want to know why. So who was it, and what did they teach you?
I've said his name multiple times, but honestly, that is probably Hunter Belzo. And for the fact that that dude's a machine. You know, he taught me how to really work out. He taught me about dieting. He taught me how to, I think I learned to be a professional from him. And it's crazy because we're the same age. He's just getting started too when the Horsemen started. But he was so locked in all the time. And I think so yeah, Hunter is definitely taught me the most in my short career.
Good old Hunter. I had him on episode 248 of the show. It was later on in the year after he actually was playing over in Germany, I believe. It was overseas and whatnot. And he is quite the example. I had his brother on as well. Stone's
my guy.
A really cool dude too. Like, I love both of those guys. I love that whole family. So they're good people over there. That's cool. So Justin, in your professional career, what's your favorite memory and why? Like, tell us about your favorite memory. Was it a play that you made? Was it a game that you played in? Was it a practice? Something somebody said? What was your favorite memory so far in your professional experience and why? Was it maybe the time when you were in San Diego and they told you, they gave you that acclamation of like, hey, like, not acclamation, like the affirmation, and let you know that you were like the guy? Like, tell us your favorite memory and why.
My favorite memory has to be, it was with the Horsemen, but it wasn't football related. My favorite memories just came from that house, that just living together with a bunch of different characters that you've never met before, but you just become brothers. Like, we were together 24/7. So it's like we get tired of each other and we just got to go in our own rooms. And then eventually we'll come back out. And then it's just, you walk out of your room and in the common area, it's always someone there. And it's always just something going on. It was a great time. I remember one time, my cousin Jaquan, he started freaking out one time because it was a tiny snake in his room.
Oh, dude, but I don't do snakes either.
No, me either. And I was just like I said, where we're from. That's the first time we've ever seen it. So he's freaking out. We hear him. He's like screaming. So we all come out. What's going on? And like, bro, it's a snake. We're like, where? It's up under everything. So we like move it. And it starts slithering out. So we end up catching it. We end up getting it out. And it's hilarious. And so just the stories that happened, the memories in that house was a great time.
Dude, tell me this though. Would that not be an amazing like reality TV show? Like,
definitely 100%. And I've 100%. I'm gonna have to, take you up on that.
That would be, dude, you put that up on a YouTube page and you tell Coach Chris, like, sign this waiver, we're all good. Like, oh my gosh, dude, that would be hilarious. Granted, dude, I wouldn't sleep in that room though if I found a snake in there. I'm not kidding.
Oh yeah. It took him a while to go back in there, but he got over it eventually.
Oh man. All right. So Justin, in football, professional experience specifically, because we've talked about it before 2 years ago about your whole football experience, but now as a professional going through the adversity the last 2 years, everything ups, downs, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, whatever. What's the biggest life lesson your professional experience has taught you?
I think I learned that everyone lives in their own reality. Everyone sees things differently. What makes sense to you may not make sense to me. What makes sense to me may not make sense to him. But it's my reality. And I think you have to be able to adapt to that and just be able to accept what you see, accept what people give you. Do not try to build someone up or make someone seem like something they're not when they're showing you who they are.
I like that.
So
that's actually really important. And I'm glad you shared that. It's something that everybody can probably take. And it's cool that sports have been able to show you that to this extent. So what can we expect to see from Justin Clarkston in the next 5 years? What would you like if you could like write a perfect script of your book? It never goes according to plan, right? Everything's always going to be a perfect script of what your life's going to be like. What's Justin Clarkston doing in 5 years from today?
5 years. I don't know if I can give you that answer.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
really don't. I try to take one step at a time. Another thing I learned with playing with the Horsemen and those guys, I learned to just, be where your feet are. I try to just I try to attack every day. I try to wake up and make the decision to move forward every day because it's hard to, like you said, it doesn't go as planned. You never know when it could be it, So it's like I try to just, and this is so hard for me, and I'm saying it even though it's something I need to work on. I try to just be in the now, and I try to just be happy for the time being because you never know when it could change. You never know when something else could happen. So I try to just, just be.
I like it. It's harder. It's easier said than done.
Easier said than done because I always look ahead and I stress myself out. I find a new thing. It's like kind of like a game I play. I try to find a new thing to stress out about every day. So but I try to just figure it out. So dude, I'm just trying to figure everything out, man. I'm just trying to figure it out. I know, this upcoming season. What I can say about that, not necessarily 5 years. I know it's kind of going away from what I said about being in the now, but I know that I definitely have unfinished business. I'm not. This isn't my first time playing here. This is my first full season back, and I'm gonna let it be known. I'm gonna let it. I'm not just gonna just fade into the background like I have been in high school, college. I'm just gonna be known. So, and that's what I can say about that.
I dig it. I had one more question, and it's similar to what you were just saying. Unexpectedly, one thing I've always noticed about you when you're playing is you've got a smile on your face all the freaking time, dude. You smile all the time. And something that caught me off guard earlier is you're talking about your San Diego experience when you caught the jump ball when you sprained your ankle, and you're talking. So like you're talking on the ground, you're doing your thing. That's how you big dog it, this and that. That's awesome. So I kind of, and then you were just saying like, I'm going to let it be known. You're like, I'm coming back. So I'm fully healthy and you got unfinished business. I guess for those guys out there that are probably like you, who they play with a smile on their face, they're happy to play the game they love doing, whatever sport it may be, or maybe they're at a job all day and they actually enjoy doing what they do. I guess, is there a way that you can turn it on and you can still smile all day, but you can be like, you can big dog it, in your words, right? You can big dog it. How do you flip it to still be competitive? You can smile, but don't mistake that as a weakness kind of thing. How do you do that?
For me, I'm smiling all the time, and I don't know why. My uncle calls me happy to this day, and I think it became like a defense mechanism, like a comfort thing, like just laughing things off, just smiling because I don't know what else to say, I don't know what else to do. So it's like, so now I'm having fun, and I'm just going. I'm being me. I'm smiling. I just try to just be positive, But when that switch flips, it's I can't say I'm smiling. And I here's the thing. I know when I'm getting to that point, and I know what happens when I get to that point, and I try to stay away from that point, and it's like, but when it happens, I'm not smiling anymore. And then now we're serious. Now and I'm not saying I'm not serious when I'm smiling, but it's like, if something happened, it's going to be known, and I'm going to let you know when I do something back. Then I'm talking, and then it's something like, whoa, we never, what is this? And that's what a lot of people, what happens to a lot of people. It shocks a lot of people.
No, I love it. That's the best. Those are the dangerous ones, man. Yeah. You're like, whoa, okay, hold on. You're not joking right now? No, shoot, okay.
I definitely know how to turn it on. I definitely know what those triggers are, and I try to. And obviously, and sometimes it's necessary for me at least, because it's like, it makes it, all right, Justin. They want to see this. Let's give them this.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, you know how to turn it on. You've been around the game long enough. You know what the competitive side is. I love it. Justin, you're the man, dude. I appreciate you joining me and being willing to share your story. For those who are listening, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I'm going to encourage all those who live here in the Treasure Valley of Idaho, the good parts of Idaho, as Justin was saying. Meridian. Well, I did.
Okay.
Meridian.
I love all of Idaho. Come out to a game. April 2nd, home game.
I love it. PR appropriate. We'll keep it that way. So if you guys are around here, come out here to the games. Come check it out at the Ford Idaho Center here in Nampa. You guys will enjoy it. I promise you that. And you'll find more if you guys are following me on Instagram. I'll post more about it. You guys can follow the Horseman page on Instagram as well. They do a lot of good stuff there. They have a website that I'll post here in the description. I'm always a fan of your guys' program, so I'm looking forward to seeing how you do. And just want to say thanks one more time, Justin, for joining the show. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you more as the season gets kicked off. All right, man?
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. And for all those who are listening, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, and we'll be coming to you next week with another interview. Take care. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.